The Supreme Court will pronounce a verdict on petitions challenging the process of arrest, seizure as well as investigation by the ED under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act today. Altogether, 242 appeals have been filed on the issue, including those by Congress's Karti Chidambaram as well as former Maharashtra Minister, National Congress Party's Anil Deshmukh. The petitions have challenged the provisions of the law against money laundering. We have my colleague Sukirti joining us on the phone line. Sukirti, the Supreme Court to decide the verdict on pleas challenging the wide powers of the ED with many high-profile cases there.
Well, yes, this is a judgment that is going to be very closely watched by a lot of people who have PMLA charges filed against them as of this moment. And also, the central government had argued in court defending very strongly this entire, all the changes that had been made to the PMLA Act by saying that they have been able to attach assets worth crores of money which belong to Vijay Mallya or other fugitives like Neeraj Modi. The centre had said that it's not just with the cases of businessmen who defrauded in cases of where they had taken loans of very high sums of money, but also terrorism-related cases where money laundering has taken place. Even on those cases, the government has been able to crack down because of the PMLA law, and they said that all of these changes that have been made are valid and should stay. However, various senior advocates like Kapil Sibal and Abhishek Manu Singhvi had appeared for various VIP candidates like Karti Chidambaram or even Anil Deshmukh, and they had argued that all of these new changes give sweeping powers to the ED, and that would lead to misuse of the agencies against innocent people.
Right, Sukirti, we will keep tracking the story and keep coming back to you for more on that. Thank you so much for all those details. Now, this at a time when more and more opposition leaders are coming under the ED radar. Congress Chief Sonia Gandhi was questioned for over 6 hours on Tuesday by the Enforcement Directorate in an alleged money laundering case connected to the National Herald newspaper. She has been summoned again today, and this will be round 3 of questioning by the Enforcement Directorate of the Congress leader Sonia Gandhi. TMC's Partha Chatterjee has also been sent to the ED custody, and that's till the 3rd of August, along with his aide Arpita Mukherjee. And Farooq Abdullah has been charge-sheeted in a Jammu and Kashmir Cricket Association case.
The Congress's Srinivas BV manhandled as he and other Congress leaders protested against Sonia Gandhi's questioning today by the Enforcement Directorate. The Delhi police cracked down at this protest at Rajpath outside Parliament, taking away all the MPs except Rahul Gandhi. Finally detaining him as well. They were attempting to walk to Rashtrapati Bhavan to protest the alleged misuse of central agencies against opposition leaders.
सारे सांसद आए और उन्होंने महंगाई की बात की और बेरोजगारी की बात की और ये हमें यहाँ बैठने नहीं दे रहे। ये जो पूरा सिस्टम है, ये कंट्रोल, ये पूरा पुलिस का सिस्टम है। आज अदानी जी और अंबानी जी चला रहे हैं इसको। ये सब अदानी जी अंबानी जी की सेना है, पहचान लो।
Congress President Sonia Gandhi was questioned for over 6 hours by the Enforcement Directorate in the alleged National Herald money laundering case. Mrs. Gandhi was questioned for over 2 hours on day 1 of the questioning last Thursday. The detained Congress MPs were lodged at Kingsway Camp Police Station in North Delhi. They've been demanding a parliament debate on price rise, Agnipath scheme, GST on food items, national security and the falling rupee. And as Sonia Gandhi was questioned in Delhi, senior Trinamool leader, a key aide of Mamata Banerjee, Partha Chatterjee, brought back to Kolkata after an anti-money laundering court sent him to ED custody.
Central government sadhu আর রাজ্যগুলো চোর, রাজ্যগুলো আছে বলে তোমরা বেঁচে আছো। মহারাষ্ট্র তো ছেড়ে দিয়েছে লড়াই করতে পারেনি বলে। আমি এখনো মনে করি খুব বলছে মহারাষ্ট্র করেছে, এরপর ঝাড়খণ্ড করব, তারপর ছত্তিশগড় করব, তারপর বাংলা করব। আমি বলি আয় না বাংলায়।
The Trinamool Congress, which has been vocal against what it calls misuse of central agencies to target opposition parties in opposition-ruled states, has said that there will be no action against Partho Chatterjee based on what central agencies allege or leak. Any action at all will follow only after a court pronounces him guilty. The BJP brushed off the opposition's allegations that central agencies are being misused by it to target political opponents.
सही उपयोग करके सही जगह पर आज पहुंची एजेंसियां, तभी इतनी नोटों की बंडल मिल रही है। इसलिए पब्लिक साहब वोट लिए थे। 21 में जीत गए, बोले 21 करोड़ लूट लेंगे। ये अधिकार किसने दिया आपको?
After over 6 hours of questioning on day 2, Congress President Sonia Gandhi has been summoned again by Enforcement Directorate in the alleged National Herald money laundering case for questioning on Wednesday. With camera person Gauri Prasad, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.
And 19 opposition MPs have been suspended from the Rajya Sabha for the rest of the week for disrupting the session on Tuesday. The decision to suspend opposition MPs from Rajya Sabha was taken with a heavy heart. They kept ignoring the chairman's appeals, is what BJP's Piyush Goyal had to say. The latest round of suspension comes a day after 4 Congress MPs in the Lok Sabha were dealt with similar action for the entire monsoon session that ends on the 12th of August for holding placards inside the House despite warnings by the Speaker Om Birla to behave.
अब आप बैठ जाए प्लीज मिस्टर डेरिक प्लीज आई एम टेलिंग यू प्लीज गो बैक टू योर सीट्स It is against the well-established parliamentary customs and conventions. I request you to please go back to your seats and allow the House to function. Since you are continuously disrupting the proceedings of the House and not listening to the orders of the chair, I am forced to name you.
The junior parliamentary affairs minister started to read out names the government wanted suspended for the entire week.
Mohammad Nadimul Haq, Ms. Dola Sen, Srimati Shabda Chetri, Shri Abir Ranjan Biswas, Dr. Shantanu Sen, Srimati Mausam Noor, Ms. Sushmita Dev.
We once again repeat and request that the House be allowed to function smoothly and the government will be ready to discuss any issue including price rise on the floor of the House.
The question is that the House have taken a serious note of the misconduct of
the chairs suspended 19 of them, but for 1 week they include Sushmita Dev, Dola Sen, among many others.
Nadimul Haq ji, M.M. Abdullah ji, L. Yadav ji, A. Rahim, Badiraju to be suspended from the services of the council for the remainder of this week under the rule 256.
We couldn't care less. Yeah, this government has suspended democracy. Modi and Shah have suspended democracy. What are you talking about MPs?
लोगों ने पार्लियामेंट MP किस लिए चुन के भेजे हैं? भी वो आम आदमी, गरीब आदमी, मजदूर आदमी, ओदी गल कीती जावे। पर जिहड़ा मोदी आ, वो तानाशाह हुक्मरान हो गया। किसी भी MP नूं इस गल ते पार्लियामेंट जो गल नहीं करन दे रहा।
On Monday, 4 Congress Lok Sabha MPs were suspended for the entire session. The standoff is over the opposition demanding for a discussion on price rise, unemployment, among other issues. 19 members of parliament, the highest ever in terms of suspension in the Rajya Sabha, a new record. This has now become a new trend of suspending members of parliament in both houses on a continuous basis, clearly making the standoff between the government and the opposition worse. With camera person Pooja Arya, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
Breaking news coming in, very tragic news. In fact, a class 11 girl has died. She was found hanging at her home in Tamil Nadu. No suicide note has been found and the investigation is on. The investigators say that the girl often suffered from a severe stomachache. Now, 3 girls of class 12 and now a class 11 girl has died. This all has happened in a matter of the last 2 weeks across the state of Tamil Nadu. We have my colleague Sam Daniel joining us. Sam, 4 girls now in a matter of 2 weeks who have died, who found dead, 2 in the hostel and now 2 girls at home. This one complaining of severe stomachache apparently.
That's right, Divya. This is from Sivakasi, a class 11 girl has been found dead hanging at her home. And police are investigating and they at the moment say this has nothing to do with any kind of academic pressure or any kind of harassment on campus. But based on the investigation, they say the girl often suffered from severe stomachache, and they say this could be the reason that could have triggered her to take away her life. But at the moment, only after post-mortem, they'll be able to confirm it, and we'll have to wait for that. And this is the fourth such death of a young girl student across Tamil Nadu over the last 2 weeks. 2 class 12 students were found dead in their hostel, and the post-mortem has been completed in those cases. And yesterday, there was another case of a similar class 12 student found dead at home. And in that case, the parents had tried to cover it up. They tried to complete the final rite without informing the police. But once they learned, the police also sent that the girl's body for post-mortem, and the results are awaited. And it's a larger worrying trend in Tamil Nadu. And the Chief Minister yesterday had yet again appealed to students and teachers to not entertain such suicidal thoughts and to develop the spirit of mental agility, and also to turn any kind of trials into accomplishments. And many activists and student welfare, student mental health experts, they say it's important, since the students have come back after a long phase of online learning to in-person learning in schools. Schools have to understand the difficulty many may face, and they have to focus on helping them cope with the change and also to develop good mental health than just focusing on academic excellence. And here is a report on this disturbing trend across Tamil Nadu over the last 2 weeks.
Third case of a 12th class girl dying by suspected suicide in Tamil Nadu in less than 2 weeks. This one at a home in Virudachalam, Kadalur district, around 300 kilometers from Chennai. This tragedy unfolded even as autopsy was underway in the case of another class 12 student who was found dead hanging at a hostel yesterday in Tiruvallur district, adjoining Chennai. No suicide note was found. Her parents suspect foul play. There was heavy police deployment near the school and home to avert any untoward incident like the riots that followed the death of another class 12 student in Kallakurichi on the 13th. In a note, that student had accused 2 teachers of humiliating her over her academic performance. 5 people, including the principal and 2 teachers, have been arrested. Around 300 people have been arrested for rioting.
The last rites of the girl is just being completed. The situation is under control. We would say that children have to remain very strong, and they should learn to face and handle their issues boldly and firmly. They should talk out their issues with the parents, the teachers, their friends and their peers.
Chief Minister M.K. Stalin today appealed to students yet again against suicidal thoughts.
எந்த சூழலிலும் தற்கொலை எண்ணத்துக்கு மாணவிகள் தள்ளப்படக்கூடாது. இந்த இடத்துக்கு நீங்க வந்திருக்கிறீர்கள் என்று சொன்னால் எத்தனையோ சோதனைகளை கடந்துதான் இங்கே நீங்க வந்திருக்கிறீங்க. சோதனைகளை சாதனைகளாக்கி வளர்ந்தாகணும். தமிழ்நாட்டு மாணவ மாணவியர் அறிவு கூர்மை கொண்டவர்களாக மட்டுமில்லாமல் உடலுறுதியும் மன உறுதியும் கொண்டவர்களாக வளரணும்.
Class 12 has always been a stressful year, and now all the more with many more entrance exams to be cracked for college admission. Experts say mental health of students has gone for a toss ever since resumption of in-person classes after a long phase of online learning. And now there is an urgent need for corrective intervention. In Chennai, Sam Daniel, for NDTV.
Welcome back. Amid worries over 4 monkeypox cases in India, vaccine maker Adar Poonawalla has said that the Serum Institute of India is in talks with Novavax to develop a messenger RNA, that's the mRNA vaccine for monkeypox. Let's just listen in.
The 4 Because of the global health systems that are now trained and equipped to, detect infectious diseases, you're finding all these cases coming up which earlier, were slipping through the system and were not being detected. So that's the simple way of looking at it. Having said that, because of travel and encroachment to the animal habitats and other areas where you do get these zoonotic viruses coming over to humans, we need to be vigilant, and we need to follow the WHO guidelines that have been set out in these particular areas and certain communities to follow, so that we can reduce the spread as much as possible. Now, having said that, certainly as a global vaccine manufacturer, especially, who is equipped with the technical know-how and the capacity, more importantly also, to handle these additional vaccines, we're looking at talking to some partners. And very soon when we tie up, to do that, I can share that with you. But again, for a vaccine manufacturer to look at a vaccine, we really need to see that is there going to be really a lot of demand, or in 4 or 5 months, is it going to fizzle out, and, treatments which are also there will take care of a disease like this. So we'll have to wait and watch. So 2 important points to note here. Unlike in the COVID pandemic, where you had different technologies that, you could use, here right now, the smallpox vaccine, which was invented by the late Edward Jenner many, many years ago, is being manufactured by the company you just mentioned. And the problem with that is you need BSL-3 and BSL-4 containment facilities to handle that vaccine, because, you have to handle the live part of it. And we are not equipped in India to do that at the moment. But that can change. You've got some facilities in India which are BSL-3 and BSL-4 compliant if one chooses to go down that route. Right. We're talking to them, and we're talking to others also. In fact, we're talking to our partners where we could make potentially, and we've not even started trials on this, is a messenger RNA candidate for monkeypox, which would mean you can safely handle the production and scale up, again, which were very important factors, if you remember, in the COVID pandemic, yes, which is why we were able to make so much of the vaccine. You've got to have it thermostable, you've got to have the ability to scale it up safely, and containment facilities. But we're still very far away from that, because we still need to develop an alternative approach. We're talking to Novavax for it as well. So we've got a few options on the table, and maybe in a month or 2 we can see if it really will be required.
And the outbreak of monkeypox has been called a wake-up call by Chief Scientist at the WHO, Soumya Swaminathan. In an exclusive interview to NDTV, she explained that since 1979-1980, the smallpox vaccination program has been stopped, indicating that this might have helped the virus to steal a march on the world. Listen in.
I don't think it's right to really start the comparisons with diseases like the flu and COVID, about which we know a lot more. One of the reasons why the Director General announced a public health emergency of international concern is that not only is this an extraordinary event in the way in which it's been spreading over the last few months, but also that we understand very little about monkeypox and how it's transmitted and what the animal reservoirs are and why the epidemiology seems to be changing now. And so it means that we actually need to collect more information, more data, do more research, do better surveillance, and countries should report all of the data to WHO so that in the next few weeks we can start understanding this disease better. And it's also true that for both COVID and influenza, the case fatality rates really depend on who's been infected, right, the age, the underlying conditions, whether they've been vaccinated or not, the strain of influenza that's circulating in that particular year, and so on. So many, many variables here. But just to reassure people that at the current moment, the case fatality rate of the monkeypox outbreak is very, very low. We have a reported 5 deaths out of the approximately 16,000 cases reported to WHO, and there are probably many more cases that are undiagnosed in these communities. The world, once smallpox was eradicated and smallpox vaccination programs stopped somewhere around 1979, 1980. The generation born after that has not received smallpox vaccine and therefore has no immunity. In a way, I would say this monkeypox outbreak may be a wake-up call for us, because we all the time have to prepare ourselves for deadly outbreaks. Now, the vaccines that we have today were basically made for smallpox, and there are now second and third generation vaccines. Nobody is going to use the original first generation smallpox vaccines, but there are very limited doses. Mainly, countries had stockpiled some of these vaccines in case there was ever a smallpox outbreak, either a biological or a accidental spread. So there are limited doses. There's one company, the Bavarian Nordic, which has a vaccine that was again developed for smallpox, has now been given emergency use listing by FDA and EMA and the Canadian regulators to be used for monkeypox. But I want to highlight that there really isn't any efficacy data on how it's going to work in smallpox. So the urgent need is to collect that data. Of course, the vaccine we believe will be effective. There is lab data showing that it neutralizes the monkeypox virus. And so there are already countries, a few countries, who have access to this vaccine that have started rolling it out. We hope that they can collect data systematically so that we know about its efficacy.
In other news, the first day of India's biggest spectrum auction for 72 gigahertz of 5G airways worth 4.3 lakh crore rupees ended with 4 rounds of auction on Tuesday. All 4 applicants, Ambani's Reliance Jio as well as Mittal's Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea as well as Adani Group firm actively participated in the auction of the 5G spectrum. Round 5 of the auction will begin today, and Mr. Vaishnav said that he hopes to complete the spectrum allocation by the 15th of August. 5G services are expected in many cities by the end of 2022. Mr. Vaishnav said that the auction will resume today, and let's just listen into what the Communication Minister had to say.
ऑक्शन में बहुत अच्छा पार्टिसिपेशन हुआ है. बाय एंड ऑफ द डे 4 राउंड्स कंप्लीट हुए हैं और अभी तक का जो रिस्पांस है उस रिस्पांस से लगता है कि पुराने जो हमारे रेवेन्यू के रिकॉर्ड्स रहे ऑक्शन में उससे ज़्यादा रेवेन्यू इस बार आएगा. अभी तक का अंदाज़ा है करीब 1,45,000 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू आने की संभावना है.
In other news, the International Monetary Fund has cut the global growth forecast again on Tuesday, warning that downside risks from high inflation and the Ukraine war were materializing and could push the world economy to the brink of recession if left unchecked. The IMF has also cut its GDP. This is the growth forecast for India for the current financial year by 80 basis points to 7.4% versus 8.3% that was forecast earlier. Welcome back. Commonwealth Games 2022 all set to get underway in Birmingham, and all eyes will be on the 215-member Indian contingent. During the last Commonwealth Games, which were held in the Gold Coast, Australia, India secured the 3rd position with a total of 66 medals, which included 26 gold, 20 silver and 20 bronze. Ahead of the multi-sport event, NDTV's Rika Roy spoke to Craig Cooper, the Program Director of Commonwealth Games. Let's just listen in.
Craig, tell us, how different will this Games be from the one we saw in Glasgow in 2014?
Oh, this is the largest Commonwealth Games ever. There are 19 sports here, more than any other. There are more medals for women than men. And we've integrated the para-sports into the Games as well. So there are 8 para-sports that will take place at the same time. And this, as you can see behind me, this is a young, vibrant city that is so looking forward to the 11 days of sport and everything that goes around it.
Craig, would you say the USP of this Games is that women have more events and events to win medals than men?
I think that's a really key part of it. But also, this city is truly a Commonwealth city, and we have diasporic communities from all parts of the Commonwealth. Yeah, so we are, if there was ever a Commonwealth city, we are that Commonwealth city. As the 72 nations and territories that will be competing at the Games, have an opportunity to be supported by people from the city who have heritage from all over the world. And it's a real opportunity for us as a city to really come alive.
Since you spoke about the diaspora, since you spoke about the communities that are here, let's talk a little bit about the Asian community. How have they responded to the games, and how many tickets have gone out to the Asian community?
So, well, the Asian community is a key part of the city, and it's we've got a strong Indian community here. We had the Test match here only a few weeks ago, and the T20. India did particularly well. And also the Pakistani community in the city is also a significant part of the whole makeup of the city. Tickets, I don't know which tickets have gone to which communities, but we've sold more tickets for this Games than any other Commonwealth Games ever.
And how many would that be?
So it's well over 1.2 million at the moment. So we're expecting 1.5 million people to actually see ticketed events. We're expecting a TV audience of 1.5 billion to tune in and see the city and see who we are and what we're about as a city, and actually support the Games.
And let me ask you, which is the most sought after sport in this edition of the Games?
Hey, I don't know, if I'm honest with you. The cricket has been very, very popular, but you'd expect that with a city and with Edgbaston as a Test match venue. Athletics is always extremely popular. The swimming at Sandwell, we've built a fantastic new pool at Sandwell as an aquatic centre, and that is also high on everyone's list. So lots of sports for lots of people, and it's going to be a great summer.
Tell us something, you said that this is going to be the largest Commonwealth Games. Is it in terms of participation, or is it in terms participation in terms of athletes or viewing of the Games?
Athletes, 19 sports. 19 sports is the largest Games that there have ever been.
And what really led you to integrate the para sports into the main sporting event?
Yeah, I think that was a decision that was taken by the Commonwealth Games Federation, and I think it was a fantastic choice of theirs to do that, and it really makes it come alive for all parts of our community.
And the Queen's Baton is coming into the city just ahead of the Games. What kind of crowd do you expect from around the area?
Yeah, the Baton arrives in Birmingham tomorrow, and it will stay in the city for 2 days. And on tomorrow evening, on the 27th, there will be a celebration of culture, of all our cultures, in Victoria Square, and that's something that is a key moment for the city immediately before the Games. It's going across the 10 constituencies of the city, and it gives all parts of our communities the opportunity to see the baton and participate in the celebrations.
Lovely, thank you very much, and let the Games begin.
Thank you. Brilliant, can't wait.
Yes, so Birmingham is ready, and so are over 5,000 athletes who have already trooped into the city. But it'll be ace javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra who has been ruled out of the upcoming Commonwealth Games in Birmingham due to an injury sustained during the World Athletics Championships. Tokyo Olympics gold medalist Neeraj Chopra has said that he's heard about not being able to defend his title at the upcoming Commonwealth Games. Neeraj issued a lengthy statement saying that he's also disappointed on missing the opportunity of being India's flag bearer at the opening ceremony for the event. Neeraj has won a gold medal at the 2018 Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast. And some fans expressing how disappointed they are given the fact that Neeraj Chopra will not be participating in the Commonwealth Games, but many others were excited about the ones participating. Let's just get you an account with my colleague Rika Roy. So we are joined by a bunch of Indian fans here in Birmingham.
Hi, we are here to support the Indian team. We are so happy they have come to Birmingham, and we wish them the very, very best.
The big news has been Neeraj Chopra out of the Games. Is that a cause of disappointment as you guys gather?
Very disheartening, because I was very much sure that he'll break his own record, to be honest. Obviously, he's a world record champion. But I was very confident he'll break his own record, but we are sorry to know that, he's not participating. But we have a lot of other athletes as well, and I'm pretty confident that they will make India a pride and let's hope for 70 plus medals, because last year we won around 66 last time, and let's hope for 70, although there were quite a few medals from shooting, around 27 medals, and this time I don't think we are doing shooting, so I think all the athletes have to work really hard to meet that number.
Let me ask, who do you think will be the biggest draw? Of course, Neeraj isn't there.
Yeah.
For you, who will be the biggest draw?
I think PV Sindhu, we're hoping, because she has won so many. She's in a good form. She's done amazingly well in quite a few international championships. And I'm really, really hoping that so many, underdogs will just come through. Because India has got so much of talent in all other sports like cricket or something. So why not all these sports? It's such a big country, and we are hoping that it'll be something like China or Russia or on those lines. Let's go India, come on. weightlifting or
Mirabai Chanu, there are a lot of them who will be defending their gold medals, like Mirabai Chanu, Manika Batra. As a fan, what are the realistic expectations?
To be honest, whenever I talk about Commonwealth, my heartbeat, it just raises, and I have got goosebumps literally. I was really excited about two sports, which was badminton and then javelin, but unfortunately the javelin, we all know it won't be as much interesting anymore.
But there are two youngsters who are on the javelin field.
Oh yes, definitely. I have all my eyes on them, so we can, still be entertained with the best talents. But yeah, I was really hoping for that. But yeah.
Neeraj Chopra was expected to have been the big show. He isn't there. Who are you pinning your expectations on?
I'm a Birmingham City Councillor, and it's great to see whole of the Commonwealth coming to Birmingham. It's a very exciting place. Obviously, I have to stay very neutral as Birmingham City Councillor. That I want the best team to win, but it'll be still better if India can gain more gold medals.
India can win more gold medals. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah. I mean, it's an exciting time, and rooting for India in a big way. There's an amazing presence here. So we are all very excited, and in particular table tennis, really rooting for Dia Chitale. Yeah.
I've just come for this family friend of mine who is going to play table tennis, and she's rocking, and that's it. Her name is Dia Chitale from Mumbai. Yeah. Young kid, gone so strong, comes from a typical Maharashtrian middle class background. Parag and Reshma Chitale's daughter. They left their jobs to take care of this girl. It's a struggle for them to build her, and I'm happy for her. So I'm just looking at this game.
Well, there will be 214 Indians at the Commonwealth Games trying to get to the podium here in Birmingham. It'll be an interesting watch for all these Indian fans. Many of them will be thronging to the different venues that are there for the Commonwealth Games in and around Birmingham.
Come on, India! Go! We're all there!
And the countdown to the Commonwealth Games has started, and NDTV's Rika Roy will be there bringing you all the updates. Moving tracks, soon-to-be mom Alia Bhatt has another baby coming out first, and that is her first production. It's called Darlings. It's a dark comedy, and she has produced it along with Shah Rukh Khan's Red Chillies Entertainment. Alia Bhatt will play the lead in the film along with Vijay Verma, and she spoke with NDTV's Rohit Khilnani about the experience of not just acting on a film, but also being a producer. She's so excited about doing more than just acting. Her banner is called Eternal Sunshine Production. Let's just listen into what she had to say about Darlings.
Alia, firstly, you're looking beautiful as you always do. My first question to you is, your fans, your name carries a lot of credibility because of the work that you've done and reached this far in life. So when your name comes in a production, banner, there will be a lot of expectations. One is, do you want to tell them how come you decided to play two roles in this?
It very naturally happened. I don't know, it's maybe the timing of maybe it was on my mind to, to be like, okay, maybe it's a nice time for me to start producing the films in which I play the title character or a very important character, or maybe it's a nice time for me to just start looking at stories a little differently. I don't know. Maybe it all worked out together, but when I heard Darlings, when I heard the narration, it was such a surprising film. Yeah. I was so taken in by how the genre just shifted very, very quickly. It was a very unique story. And it just naturally happened where I was like, okay, if I want to act in it, I also want to produce it.
Right.
And I kind of suggested that. Gaurav from Red Chilies, he brought me the script along with Jasmeet. And actually he was very supportive of that. He said, of course, we must do this together and it'll be great. And yeah, that's how it happened. So first came Darlings and then came my production Eternal Sunshine.
Right.
So Darlings will always be very, very special to me because of that, because it was the kind of story that made me feel like, okay, no, I want to be as a creative, as a producer, telling these kind of stories.
Amazing. You know, do you want to tell a lay person who, what do you do, what role do you play when you are a producer? Is there a lot more responsibility on you?
See, I'm someone who's very, very attached and very close to my films in general.
Right.
So anyway, I get very involved.
Sure.
But I didn't know that this is the level of involvement one can have.
Right.
With regards to a movie when you are not just an actor. Because of course when we were making the film, I was just an actor, coming onto set, doing my job, going home.
Right.
You know, we worked of course a lot on the script during the, you know, the pandemic when we were at home. We were working a lot, little fine details. Because it was the first time that I'm creatively producing the film, I could very unabashedly speak, very vocally, which I anyway do, but this was a little bit more because I was more involved, like from a position point of view.
Correct.
And Jasmeet was very receptive to that, which is great because we had a lovely collaborative energy that I feel has resulted in a lot of good things and a lot of things going very right. I don't know if this is something I can say before the film's release, but I mean genuinely, I feel like all the energies were on our side because somehow we were very much on the same page. So if I used to say something, she used to echo that feeling. If she used to say something, I used to echo that feeling. So that energy was sort of very, you know, very sacred, I would say. But on the film set, I'm an actor.
Right.
Then post wrapping that up now, whilst we're nearing release, you know, putting together the teaser, putting together the trailer. These are things that I was never involved in. I would give my feedback and then, you know, switch off as an actor. But now I can't switch off. I have to be involved. So from the sound to the this to the that, you know, I give inputs on everything and I enjoy it because it's like, okay, I'm learning so much.